public, people who are here to speak at the public forum, the media and the council staff. We're going to start off with our apologies for today. I have an apology from Mary McConnell, and I also have an apology from lateness from Neil Gillespie. So can I have a mover and a seconder for those apologies? Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Wally. All in favour? Thank you. And then that takes us to our public forum, and we are very lucky today to be looking at grant applications. So speakers for our public forum have come from the organisations who have applied for grant funding, and so I'd like to invite Laurel Brent to start with from the Eagles Golf and Seconds.
Passing on to member.
Welcome, Laurel.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you about our grant application to run the Eagles National Under-17 Golf Tournament here in Cromwell in October. I've sent a flyer around us that will show you who the Eagles are. We are the Eagles Golfing Society of Otago, an incorporated society and a registered charity, and we're affiliated to New Zealand Eagles. How do you become an Eagle? It's an honour that once you've served your province or area that you are nominated to serve. And once you've agreed to join the organisation, we put you to work, because we fundraise for the Hellberg Foundation. The Eagles are the sole funders of the Hellberg Foundation's activity fund, which in total 5.84 million in the last 15 years. We fundraise for that, we support junior golf, and we promote the game in general. Central Otago's got 26 Eagles, only 26. There are 7 in Cromwell, so we're pretty well represented. We've got representatives in most of the local golf clubs, and many of them, plus their partners, etc., will be involved in running our big tournament in October. We'll need every hand on deck to run it. This tournament's always in the school holidays, and it's rotated around New Zealand on a 15-year cycle. So our chances, in 15 years, it will be back in Otago, but unlikely to be here in Central Otago. It's likely to be in Dunedin at that time. So the tournament's made up of teams of 3 that represent 15 provinces. These are the top girls, that's 2 girls and a boy, or 2 boys and a girl in each team. The top golfers for that age group in each area. It's a teams event and an individual event. So in the end, we'll have some youngsters to follow in the footsteps of the likes of Michael Campbell or Daniel Hillier, for example, who've won the tournament in the past. Now, because we're hosting this event, we are, aside from our team of 3, we're allowed to invite another 12 Otago young players who'll have the fantastic opportunity to mix with these top, mix and play, mingle and learn from them, from the others. We have a number of young Central Otago golfers who will get their chance in that 12, which is fantastic to see. And each team will come to Cromwell with a chaperone and, of course, parents keen to watch. And hopefully afterwards we'll also see what Central Otago has to offer, especially since it's school holiday time. We expect that some of them will stay to play, shall we say, in Central Otago. Our budget for the tournament includes $17,000 of airfares, which has now been raised nationwide by Eagles who are selling golf club raffle tickets and golf clubs. The rest Otago Eagles need to cover. We'll be paying for transport, accommodation, catering, the tournament booklet, trophies, prizes, the lot. And all 15 Otago players will be provided with an Otago uniform to wear and keep, which hopefully they'll proudly wear afterwards. We'll be supplying all the volunteers to cover all the aspects of the event, from the first aid to chaperones, lunch makers, barbecue cooks, results people, drivers and golf referees. There are no paid positions involved. We intend to use local suppliers wherever we can. We've got the full support of Cromwell Golf Club, which is keen to have a national event here, and have offered the course for free, which is very generous and very much appreciated. That's 3 days using the golf course for this event. The kids will play 54 holes plus a practice round. So it's a lot of golf and it's a good test. Hours of preparation have already gone into this tournament, and we're looking forward to showcasing what we have here on the golf course and in Cromwell or in Central Otago. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. It sounds like it's a really exciting event, bringing people from all around the country, which I think is exactly what our promotions grants are designed for. So thank you for your time. Do any of you have questions or things that you'd like to ask? Yeah.
You said the golf club is providing 3 days of use in the golf course, but has there been any other financial contribution? Because I get far not in the young ones, but
17-year-old, 20-year-old.
Yeah, but
not huge.
No, but it's been any financial.
They have offered that any of the parents that want to play will get a reduced green fee. So we're encouraging the parents to have a game at some stage over 3 days, but no.
Okay.
I think that commitment to giving, I mean, they'll be completely closing the course, for example, on a Tuesday. There will be nobody else playing, so access to that is fantastic.
But that would be not much lost revenue. It would be inconvenient for the members.
Very inconvenient, ladies' golf day. Yeah.
Because that's what I'm getting at. And look, further and what you're doing is absolutely magnificent, and golf for young people is a great sport. But it's asking the community to get 5,000 in the club itself, which is getting a lot of the kudos and a lot of benefit in some regards. I'll just make that point.
I mean, it's been
supportive.
run by the Eagles. This one is not run by the golf club at all. The golf club won't be running the event at all. The Eagles will be doing it.
Okay.
So we'll be putting the work in, that's for sure.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Sure. Yeah. The huge amount going.
Yeah.
And good luck. I mean, I'm supportive of it. I'm just make that clear.
Thank you so much. Any other questions or queries? Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
And in our next public forum speakers, we have a group from the Cromwell and Districts Promotion Group, Caroline, Tanya, Anthea and Tegan. You all come up.
I think I'll jump up. They're all close by though. It's not much for me. Great support from the promotion group today, though, isn't it?
Well,
thank you. Well, I think everybody here knows me, but just in case, my name's Carolyn Murray. I'm the chair of the Cromwell and Districts Promotion Group. So as a regular promotional funding recipient, I believe you all know us well and what we do. We continue to be a committee of hardworking volunteers supported by 2 excellent and highly skilled part-time contractors. Our group is known to achieve professional outcomes, which is largely due to the expertise of these roles. So currently we have Tanya Dennis, who is coming up to 1 year in the marketing and comms role. Everyone should know Tanya. And this year we also appointed Anthea Lawrence to the events coordinator role. Yeah. And I'd like to point out Tegan, who's our new trainer as well. So the funding application before you is for our next year of promotional activities. This year we have requested funding for our 3 largest events: Light Up Winter, the Fireworks and the Cherry Festival. All of these events have a fantastic following. They attract visitors from outside the region and they achieve excellent positive media coverage for our town. So of particular note this year is the funding request for Light Up Winter. This is an iconic and much loved event that draws visitors from around New Zealand, and it brings celebration, community wellbeing, benefits and economic stimulus to the town in a typically quiet time. This year we've had a huge obstacle due to some a little bit misleading fence advice around fire lanterns, which was actually written for the Lunar New Year releases in summertime. So I hope you have now been updated that our group has worked exceptionally hard with Council's H&S officer and FENS to provide additional safety measures with regards to the lantern release. And we have received FENS and Council approval to proceed with the lantern element and to proceed with our original funding request. We are still absolutely committed to delivering a fantastic event for our town, and we know how special this event is for locals and for visitors. So I won't hold you up any longer, but I'd just like to say, as always, we're really grateful for the community board's ongoing support of our group's activities.
Thank you very much. Anyone got any further questions? It's great that I know that when we, like you, initially got the news that FEMS had put quite a big question mark over the release of Sky Lanterns, that we knew there were some hurdles to overcome. And of course, there's been quite a lot of media around that and whether or not there was going to be a solution found. So I'm really pleased that the work that you've done alongside council staff and FEMS locally has meant that the safety plan will be able to be put in place that will meet the requirements of of running the event in a safe way.
Yeah, thank you.
Is it fair to say the FEMS advice was never prohibitive anyway? It was just a strong suggestion.
That's right. Yeah.
So instead of having that New Year's in the middle of winter, it's got to be a good mitigation, right?
That's right. And we've run this event for 7 years and there hasn't been a single fire-related or lantern-related incident.
How would you do that?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yes.
Everything that goes up comes down, so the wires and everything contained in that sort of.
There's no wires in the
There's
lanterns.
not?
No, they're completely cardboard and
They all break down.
yeah, they're 100% biodegradable.
So realistically, it's a pure short-term waste issue.
That's right. As soon as they get damp and a bit of dew, they break apart and that's it.
Somebody else had asked me that question, I don't know, because I've only ever sat back and watched.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, we we try and really spread that message every year that they are completely safe and biodegradable. Occasionally, I mean, there's always someone that jumps online and says, makes a comment, an uninformed comment, but we do our best to.
Maybe I'm going to start on that.
Exactly.
I love like a little kid, but I want to say that.
It's pretty special.
It's been a long time since I've been with a kid, so it's.
I think it's fair to say too, Carolyn, that you do actually have volunteers who go around and pick up waste as they fall down.
That's right. Yeah, thanks, Bob. It's a good point. We usually get one of the sports clubs as a fundraising activity to go out. We collect as many at night as we can, but they also go out the morning after. And obviously, there's some limitations with private property, but where possible, they go out.
It certainly depends on which way the wind might be drifting. High winds that time of year, but I know that those of us who live in Cromwell will have had a year that we've maybe got some on our property.
Sounds lucky. Taking up an awesome event.
Thank you so much for your time. It's good.
It's nice.
Okay, that takes us back into our agenda and to page 7, which is the confirmation of the minutes. Seconder.
That move.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Sarah. Sorry, I've got you. Not even halfway through the year and my brain has gone too much. All in favour?
All right.
Thank you. On page 15 is the declaration of interests, and I would like to remind all of our members that where there is a perceived or real conflict of interest, that is set aside from decision making around that item. That then takes us to page 18 and the community and promotions grants applications. So I've got Dylan and Rebecca and Annie to us now. Well, I'm first.
Okay. We were just doing that eye down.
I'll just.
Well, thank you. So the cover of the report and the attached papers cover the round in each of the applications. This is our second round in the 23-24 financial year. So, and the new round is already open for the new financial year, which is 1 July, subject to the budgets going through. I'll just speak to the community grant applications and then let Ellie speak to the promotions grants. For community grants, you've got 49,925,000 to distribute annually. This was the second round and there was 39,925 left to distribute. We received one application in this round and which closed on the 10th of March. The application was from the Dunstan East Side Trail Trust for a feasibility study and concept plans for a shared use trail from Cromwell Bridge to Bendigo. The applicant, which I've been working with Naomi Peterson, she's away on holiday at the moment and she was planning on zooming in but has suffered a family bereavement today and has had to come home. So it's put in her apologies. Hopefully if you've got any questions specific to the application, I'll be able to answer them, but if not, we can get back to you. So, but she did truly want to be able to speak directly to you, but hasn't been able to do so. They have spoken to Central Lakes Trust about the project, about the concept, and and the CRT have said to come back and speak once you've got some more information, and so that's what this application is helping them to do, which is to build a business plan and feasibility study, and the details of that is in the papers. They have also worked with the Southern Lakes Trails Trust, and there's a letter of support from that trust to show that they're working alongside rather than not knowing what each other's doing, so that's great. I spoke to our tourism colleagues about the proposal and about its fit. They've said that it aligns with the destination management plan in relation to new product development and connectivity and would help create new experiences for both residents and visitors. I recommended that we support the request of 2,533 and happy to respond to any questions.
Is it fair to say that it's hard to get funding elsewhere for feasibility?
Absolutely. I know from personal experience on Otago Community Trust, we don't fund feasibility studies, nor do CLT. And so it's something like, and also consenting fees. So that's, I've mentioned that in the assessment that it's likely that these folks may come back because they'll find it hard to get consenting costs elsewhere.
Yeah.
People like building stuff, not really to build stuff.
Yeah.
Just really tricky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Further questions?
This far.
Yeah. I mean, obviously with so many trails around, so the feasibility, this is purely feasibility.
And like they've only had a really light touch of those concept things at this stage.
Yeah.
So, but we'll look into that a little deeper. Plus, they mentioned briefly about ongoing maintenance. I have said in my assessment, the funding landscape's changed for cycle trails, and so that will be something hopefully that they consider through that phase. How is this going to be? How much is it going to cost, and where's that funding going to come?
Am I right in understanding this is an easier track?
Easier trail and not as flash. It's not to the specifications that are used to.
Yeah, the Dunstan can be quite difficult for some people.
This is, I think that I don't look into me getting more technical about mountain biking. I think this is our grade 1 and 2 compared to the higher grades. Yeah.
The fact of the matter is there's not much terrain between here and here.
That's right.
So it's going to be easier than climbing up to the tree. For example.
Yeah.
But there'll still be fabulous views and riding down a lakeside.
And doing a loop, you'll be able to do a loop.
Get on the bike if you can.
For those who are so inclined.
Just one little detail I picked up on, and it might be better for Naomi, I'm not sure, but says the application is to fund a feasibility study, and the feasibility study would include, it goes on to say, an assessment of consent conditions and approval processes. So that predict what consent conditions would come from.
What I anticipate that meaning is what they're likely to need consent for.
Which is probably like the other cycle track, which was just the retaining walls technically, wasn't it? Or, is that how it goes?
There's a range of things that might need consents around structures, signs, construction within so many metres of the water body, those sorts of things. Yeah.
Thank you, Rebecca. Who's next, Ali?
So I'll just address the light of the component of the promotion grant application. So I'm only speaking to the grant application, not the overall event, and whether or not the event may proceed or not. That's not within my delegation. I'm simply here to talk about promotion grant, your ability to assess that promotion grant in full, which I'm happy to tell you, you are able to assess that promotion grant in full, including the light up winter component. The assessment of whether or not the event can go ahead sits with colleagues David and Louise, and also Peter ultimately as the CEO. So that still needs to be worked through. Just addressing your question earlier, Wally, in the public forum there about the relevance of the ice cream fence. The fence website does state sky lanterns pose a high fire risk. Do not release them. But becoming aware of that advice, it would be negligent of us not to have then undertook some due diligence and understood the process. But happy to say, due to the great work with the Cromwell District's promotions team and our staff and also local FENS staff, we've gotten to a point where we're happy with the controls that have been introduced, that we're happy for the grant application to be assessed, as I've said. As is standard with all grant applications, this is still carries the caveat that it needs to be signed off by the appropriate staff within the organisation before the funding can be uplifted. And also, this is part of the 24-25 annual planning funding. So, of course, it can't actually be uplifted until that annual plan is signed off by council in May. That is my piece. Pastor Ali, unless you had any questions relevant to that.
So as Dylan said, the promotions group application is for funding of the 24-25 year plan. So any grant approved today for that needs to be subject to the adoption of, final sign off and adoption of that plan. You've got also with the Eagles Golfing Society, just clarification that the board does currently have $5,724 remaining in the current financial year. So should it wish it, you could, even though that event happens in the next financial year, you could consider it as being funded from this current financial year. That would be an option for you. We've got assessments done for each of those applications. Just with regards to the Cromwell promotions one, that assessment one was done prior to the work that's been done to make sure that you can consider the full application as it stands now. Looking at when we're reviewing those grant applications, we're actually looking how they align now with our destination management plan for Central Otago. And the research within that tells us that our residents want Central Otago to be a place that invests in and hosts a broad mix of festivals and events, sports, community, arts, culture and business. It also references connecting with distinctive environments and our way of life, as well as smoothing seasonal peaks and troughs for visitation. So that's a consideration as the time of when these events happen. We're in the final stages of also developing an event strategy for Central Otago. Once that's formally signed off, that will also provide us another tool to measure these applications against. That's getting quite close. Laurel's actually filled you in really nicely on the Eagles Golf. The value in that, it's unusual to support the likes of a sporting tournament, but this is quite a different event, being a national event, and also a rare opportunity for the town to host that tournament. The grant assessments have suggested amounts in them. Based on the advice that we now can consider the full application from Cromwell Promotions Group, I've suggested funding at the same level as last year, based on the fact that last year's grant included an additional couple of projects, and which were Summer Series Marketing and their Ambassador Program, to be funded from within that 95, and those are no longer in the mix, so that would allow them to deliver their programs and allow for financial cost increases, which I'm sure every group is facing. And
Can I just get some clarity there just for a second? So obviously this doesn't include that at this stage, what's recommended in the report doesn't include that. So the amount that you would be recommending
the
with
amount
the
I would be
inclusion,
recommending would be the 95.
that's including light up.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification.
What I've also tried to do is make sure you do have some funding to accept applications in the next funding round. So based on what I've suggested, partially funding for Eagles Golf, if you're happy to fund that from current financial year applications, you could have a balance of 11,219 for any applications received from the year.
Any questions for Aaron?
Is there anything we know of that will be coming up in the next round? Is there anything that's disclosed or historical?
There are a couple of new proposed events which at this stage have not got to the point where they would be in a position to be seeking funding, but are not far off.
And ballpark figure of those kind of things, or no idea, or
No idea. The other, and I might actually get Ants to talk to this, there is an opportunity through some new MB funding. Unfortunately, neither of these applications could tap into that because of the way the events are run, but there is a promotions bucket of money through MB, which we're running through TCO, and I'm sure Ants will be able to give you a bit of a high level on that.
So Ellie's alluded to, MB announced about probably 8 weeks ago now, the Regional Events Promotion Fund, which is a co-funding opportunity for events in the regions for promotional purposes only. So it's over $5 million nationally spread over 2 years. Events have to be ticketed and have to attract a wide visitor market. So they're really looking at that kind of attracting visitors and for an economic impact for our communities. So the first round of this will close at the end of next week. We've had discussions with about 15 different event organisers across the district, including several from the Cromwell area, who are looking at applying for received 3 applications, I think, that either are directly in Cromwell district or attached to as part of a wider event. But as Ali said, with the nature of how the Cromwell Promotions Group's events are run as kind of non-ticketed public event festivals, parades, that's been specifically excluded from this proposal. And there will be another round. So this is the first round for 24-25, and then there'll be another round next year. So there's another opportunity for events to either reach out themselves if they want to apply to this, in terms of how they can connect in with it. And it's really all about it. I think it's really specific question.
can I ask you, the ticketing, which is obviously the purpose of that, crossing over that, is that for a measure of tracking where people are coming from more so than anything?
Yes, the impression given by MB is ticketing is one of the measures that they want to use as tracking for the return on investment.
Yeah, just how
definitely.
critical that is,
Yeah. And then it can also then have other anecdotal evidence around increased accommodation levels and other components to that. So really, when they're looking at things, and again, they specifically excluded those that are very hard to measure that impact. Footfall versus.
Is that funding that looks like it will continue? Is this a one-off 2-year thing that if it works, it's likely to stick around and grow or no
It
idea?
was election promise from the National Party in their tourism policy. It's being funded out of the international visitor levy, which is what international visitors pay on coming into New Zealand. And so I think they're, I guess, testing the water to see if they can invest more strongly in promotion of regional events to drive visitation to the regions, which is one of the goals the government said they want to see, that seasonal dispersal, and regional dispersal away from the main centres. So the other component to that is that the main centres, Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, Hamilton and Queenstown are excluded from applying to this fund, as kind of defined as key gateways.
We had 3 applications so far.
Just looking at the list, I know of one I received this morning, and there was 2 others who said they will be submitting details that fall within that.
It's great if they actually get all their ducks in a row and is that funding.
What's the nature of the funding in terms of, like, a lot of funders don't like to approve 100% of the funding?
It's co-funding, so it needs to be 50% co-funded. So it's to enhance your marketing. So it's specifically to the marketing component of event operation. So you're not covering your logistics or actually infrastructure or anything like that. It's purely in the pre-promotion to get more people to attend your event.
Comes people how you dress up the application, but like from a practical perspective, it might just pay for the temporary fencing that you need to make it a ticketed event.
And the assessment the event promoters need to do that, and kind of actually getting any increased return for doing that. That increase from the RTO perspective of just by doing more marketing, your event doesn't necessarily have the capacity for more people. If you've already set your marketing budget, it's probably a bit of what it is. But it does help with that regional awareness, and if we can get more people into our events who stay for multiple days, then that's obviously beneficial to the other parts of the community.
Is it running for the next few years?
So they've said 2 years at this stage.
Just like to note that Neil has joined the meeting via Teams. Welcome, Neil. Great to have you on board.
Apologies.
No problem. We've put your apology for lateness, so it's good to have you here as we get to the decision-making point in our discussions this afternoon. Gosh, I don't even know what time of day it is.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
as we get into the decision-making process, I think I ought to exclude myself from this because of my involvement as president of the Cromwell Golf Club, in particular with the application from the Eagles Golf Society.
Okay, well, I would suggest that we look at the, well, we can do it 2 ways. We can look at each of the grants as separate items, or we can look at the community grant separately and then the promotions grants together. Yeah, in which case you can join us in the decision making. The trail.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, let's do that one first.
You've got the table here.
Yeah, I know. Just looking at the table, so you can see the table up above. It's quite hard to read that number at the bottom. Ali, can you help me? The community grant.
The community grant, amount inclusive, 36.5, level 320. And they granted them for you would still have a balance of 3,386.80.
And the recommendation is to grant it in full.
Yeah.
Discussion on that.
That's from 23-24 funding.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that one's
49, you get 49,995.5.
in this year's funding.
Yeah, out of this year's right.
Is that out of this year's pot and then next year's funding round?
Refreshers you get.
Yeah, from July. Yeah. Okay, so that's probably that's one.
And we can carry that 338 over.
That goes into
More reserve.
Oh, yeah. So that helps if we get anything. So yes, it's like this. Righty ho. So do I have a, let me see, a motion? That's firstly what we need.
So we don't need that. Don't need to see.
Because it's already there.
because it's already, because we've been
we've
granted
got that.
across this. Full, that we received a report that said level of significance B allocates no. Okay. Right. A and B. B is allocates the 36,533.20 to Dunstan East Side Trail Trust for the feasibility study and concept trail design plans to be funded from the community grants budget in the 2023-2024 financial year. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Bob. All in favour?
Aye.
Carried.
Yeah, this lady can buy home from Scapegrace. It's worth a bit of money.
Make that scapegrace is what comment from around the table. Well, it'll make a difference from the biking to the wineries like this. Make this a wee change.
They'll be healthier, they've gone further. And thirstier.
I suppose. Oh, I'm good at falling off even on the flat, so it's my. And that takes us to the promotions grants, and you can see again that the motions are up on the board there. And we go flip back to the table just so that people can see the amounts and understand where we're going from. Just squint a bit and you'll be able to see them. Yeah, that's right. So we can see that the Eagles have requested $5,000 and the amount recommended is $5,000. And the motions group have requested 105,550 and the recommendation is 95, which includes funding for the Light Up Winter event, which wasn't in our original agendas.
And that leaves 11,219 for the rest of the financial year.
No, for the rest of 24, 25.
Yes, 25.
And I suggest that 5 is from the balance of the current financial year.
Okay, and so then the 5 would be from the 23-24?
Yeah.
Because there's 5, 7 left there. Okay, cool. Righty ho, can we go back to the motions? Very hard-handled eyeballs today.
It's your age,
Anyways.
So motions are that we receive the report and accept the level of significance, allocate 5,000 to the Eagles Golfing Society Incorporated for accommodation and or catering costs for the Eagles National Under-17 tournament in October of this year to be funded from the promotions grant in the 23-24 financial year, and allocates $95,000 to the Cromwell District's Promotions Group for Light Up Winter Street Party and Fireworks Cherry Festival events in the 24-25 year from the promotions grant budget in the 24-25 financial year. Grants allocated from the 24-25 year budgets are subject to the approval and adoption of the annual plan, and that we note that grant recipients, it's their responsibility to obtain and have in place the appropriate consents, plans and licenses, including resource consents, health and safety plans, etc., as required by legislation, agencies, property owners and individuals to undertake the project. Also, engagement with affected communities and businesses. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Sarah and Wally. All in favour? Aye. And carried.
Aye.
Yeah, you got your meter. Thank you, Tam.
5,000 for the Eagles is going directly back into local business.
Right.
Like, we are literally paying the bill for an accommodation provider here, and food, and if there's any industry that needs
Especially
some form of, yeah, that's the perfect time to put that straight back in here to keep those businesses going. That's it. I'm surprised that's what they have to do, but I guess in Central Otago, that's one of their, that's the target as a whole. They've obviously gone around to.
Tim, it's your turn.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Obviously, annual plans keep me pretty busy, so there's not a lot of Cromwell specific stuff. I attended Anzac Day at Lowburn. would have been a nice event for the Rentons with one person, but we've no need to go into that. Other than that, it was really special, and particularly I got to do a speech. My brother Murray got to do the others, so that was a really nice moment actually. Yeah. Attended the frigid closing of the Memorial Hall, which never had a cup of warm tea been so welcome, and well, there probably was, but not in recent memory. So great to see progress in that space. I think it was really appropriate. And Neil's idea of having former Mayor Peter Mead do the speech rather than myself was great, because I have to say I don't have a great deal of fond memories of only being funerals and bickering for me as far as the buildings go. So Peter's memories are much, much, much better, and did a great speech. Yes, did yourself, Chair. It was really special to have such strong iwi representation. And I was here, I think it was Monday night, the days of rolling into one last week, whatever night it was for the annual plan drop-in. And we had 10 people attend. A broad ranging discussion, and as we found here, Alexandra and Ranfurly, large people just wanting to come along and find out what's going on, and are generally still recognise it as bad news, but understandable bad news rather than being a bit baffled. So, yeah, that's really all I've got. Sounds like I haven't been doing much, but I've been busy.
I think that's probably not the truth, that you haven't been doing much. I did think that the infographic that was shared online in the last couple of days, the pie chart, that was really useful, and I know it's being shared on some of the Cromwell pages, and the commentary around what people are saying there. That's sort of highlighted where
it's the state we can't do anything about. It's brutal.
Over executive report, please. Thank you. All in, so that was Cheryl and Sarah, all in favour.
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. That takes me to my report, and since the last meeting, our meeting seemed to be bookended by hair appointments. My hair appointment was after the meeting today. It was after the meeting last time, and I look at my diary as well. So that's major news, of course. I was unable to attend the Anzac service this year. Unfortunately, I managed to test positive for COVID on the last day of the school term, and then had to completely rearrange my trip to visit my family in Melbourne. But I know that it would have been a really special event, with it being the final event with the hall still standing in the cenotaph in its current position. So I was sad to have missed that one, but family took precedence on that occasion. So I did attend and speak at the hall farewell event. I thought it was an excellent event. I thought the involvement of Mana Whenua was really special, and that although the beautiful sunrise that we had yesterday would have been welcomed at it, the very atmospheric freezing cold fog was probably quite a fitting farewell to the hall as well. I don't know if there's anyone who was still, were you in the meetings at the Memorial Hall? No, it was at the term before you joined the board, Cheryl. Yeah. It was a very, very cold place to be holding our community board meetings for some of that time. It was, so Neil would have been there, and I know Tim was there, and we shivered our way through. I know that there was quite a lot of laughing in the community when there were photos and we were all in our big coats and scarves sitting around the table, but there's still memories, whether they're fond ones or not. They still memories nice. I was really privileged last week to attend a Māori Achievement Collaborative Hui, which is a collaborative of principals across New Zealand with 200 other delegates at Paihia, and spend time with Mana Whenua talking about history of our nation, and attending Waitangi and spending time on Marae, which was a very, very special way to spend the last week. I think part of my brain might still be up north, which is why I'm struggling with names, times, and those sorts of things today. That's all I've got, guys. Thank you. Second to comments. All right, members' reports. Round to go. Cheryl, you always have plenty to share, so we'll start with you.
Out into the Cromwell community house meeting, which I had lost a long-term driver, volunteer driver. He was with them for 7 years, and so he finishes up, and they are actively recruiting for new drivers. On the 15th, I went to the old Cromwell meeting in the evening, which was entertaining. He did the farewell for the Cromwell Memorial Hall, which, like Henry says, was very exciting. It was misty. Lovely. It's really good. 24th, I was council. Went through the annual planning draft budgets and consultation documents. We were updated on, an update from the Tourism Central Otago. There was a report on freedom campaign, which decided that no bylaw was needed at this stage and that they would just monitor it over the summer months. There was just sort of easement requests and stopping of unfair legal roads, etc. And then there was report on bribery, corruption and artificial intelligence, financial report. And then on the 25th of April, attended the Terrace Anzac Day service, which was really very, very nice. This year I thought it was even better than last year. It's just a lovely small community service, and then a cup of tea and nice gathering of the community. It was really nice service. And I would like to attend the annual plan drop-in. Yeah, there's a wee bit of concerns. It was a shame there wasn't more people, but yeah, that's all it is. And then last night I was back at the Cromwell Community House again, where they've got some really exciting things going on with food. There's a sort of they're going to sort of have a trial run with food, and it's going to be held from the Polytech, where Reap works from, and it's in conjunction and with consultation from the food bank as well. So it's been working together because there's a greater need. There's so much need now that they're actually funding so that they actually keep the doors open longer in the day. We've got we've had a young mums support network going, and that again it's just recent. So it's a 6-week project, and that's proven to be very successful. It's about getting a volunteer to work with a young mum and help them, guide them and give them some assistance. And that's proven to be really successful. So that's going to continue. So it's really good stuff that's going on there. That's me. Thank you, Cheryl. Sorry.
Well, on the 10th of April, I attended Queenstown Earthworks Field Day hosted by ORC and the International Erosion Control Organisation. On the 11th of April, I attended Survey and Spatial New Zealand Central Otago branch meeting. There's a presentation from QLDC there on RMA section 224C processing, and then discussion ensued on the recent difficulty of obtaining engineering approvals in 224C and CODC for subdivision project. 13th of April, I did the St. Bathans Brogane in the rain with my family. The forecast was much better than the actual weather, unfortunately. 25th of April was Anzac Day at the Cromwell Hall. Normally go to Logan, but chose Cromwell this year. Probably could have done both, the way I saw cars moving around.
Really tight.
It's really tight. I've tried that.
27th and 8th of April, I cycled from Lawrence to Waihola on the Pooka Gold Trail, and then round from Port Chalmers to Portobello the next day. On the 29th of April, I attended the Cromwell Memorial Hall farewell function, and first May, the Cromwell Business Network didn't have a Cromwell Business Network didn't do breakfast. They did an evening thing at Arthur's Cinema. There was a presentation from Otago Goldfields Heritage Trust on the World Gold Painting Champs, which are coming to Cromwell in September 2026. Something we absolutely need to ensure our new memorial hall is open for. 5th of May, kids football kicked back into action, actually the week before when I was cycling. And tomorrow I'm due to attend an annual Lake Dunstan weed management meeting. For the annual plan, there's been some chat about the rates rise in the community, some clearly venting and uninformed on Facebook, but there is some genuine concern about the impact of the haul. Some questioning the terms of council contracts, the others calling for council to tighten its belt, which of course is happening, but that's only going to put off rates rises into the future, right? Let's get spent at some point. I was contacted by Necklace Ultra Street Reserve user following our last meeting to discuss the upcoming consultation. And still having poor dealings with Linds around the lakeside with my Connect Cromwell hat on. Still don't have approval to put bike stands next to the cycle trail. This is after starting the process in mid-November with Linds.
Which November? Just the last?
Last November. Yeah.
What made you think you'd have a response by now?
You've been around too long, Neil.
I've got the decline letter. I've got the decline letter. That's just easy to get though. So I followed up with Miles Anderson, our local MP, and he's poised to help if needed. I've explained the issues to him, and it's nothing he hasn't heard before, basically.
That's the thing was the Minister for Linds was in Cromwell about 2 weeks ago. I bumped into him.
And Miles was here that day before closing as well, but just not to coincide, unfortunately. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Neil.
Kia ora, everybody. Yeah, much a bit of a rinse and repeat of what others have done. What I did do on the 17th, though, I did address the Care and Friendship group, essentially with my fire brigade hat on. But as you can imagine, the conversation did turn to things of community, otherwise natures. So it was good to see the group of mostly older people in our community and far too many people that I knew. And it was a pretty good lunch as well, I have to say. Cheryl's report in the council meeting and adopting the annual, dropping the draft of the annual plan for consultation. And just to reinforce what Wally has just said, some of the social media feedback would make you wonder about how people are choosing to inform themselves, and I guess despite our best efforts to try and help that understanding, it's not quite getting out there to some people, or they're choosing to totally ignore it. I don't know which. I also attended briefly the drop-in in Cromwell, and then I think it was the online session, Tim, with Tamer, you and I, on the Thursday night, was it last Thursday?
Yeah.
Yep. Where I think, what was that? We had 13 at one stage online, didn't we?
7.
7. Yeah. Okay. So Tim and Tamer and I were pretty much half the meeting again. But it was still a good platform, and I think unfortunately we have some trouble getting the recording of that to get it out, but hopefully we can get that sorted out. The Anzac Day service at Lowburn, which with a bit of an RSA hat on, helped to pull together, mostly with the assistance of the Lowburn Hall Committee. Jack Davis led the service, and as Mayor Tim has reported, it was pretty special to have Tim as the guest speaker and Brother Murray read the ode at the flagpole. It was a real, I think, a bit like Cheryl said for Terrace, a family affair, cup of tea and an Anzac biscuit afterwards. I was really tempted to drop and run and go to the Cromwell one, but I thought I'm not leaving this one. This is it was quite special for a small community, so it was pretty cool to be part of that. Of course, the Hall farewell has been spoken about. I think the photo on the front page of the CO News summed up the weather pretty well. But it was, for all that, I wouldn't have missed it for Quids. It was actually quite a special day, and I really have to take my hat off to the Town and Country Club president and the poem that she had created with a special piece of software that was quite interesting. And Tim, I think I'm glad that we did get Peter Mead to speak. I think the history lesson he gave those that were there, and the record of that is going to be important going forward as to how we got to a memorial hall in the first place, which I thought was, quite a few gaps in my knowledge. He's filled those in for us all with the research he's done, and yeah, it's a bit of a pity that some more people didn't probably take advantage of the opportunity to hear that firsthand. But it was a pretty special thing to be part of. Otherwise, that's about it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Sarah.
Much the same as everybody else. I've just followed you around and things you've done. So I've just put a couple of dots underneath as per. One thing that hasn't come yet, I've been involved in this startup from Otago Emergency Management of a community response group. And Wally and I attended a couple of the meetings there and found myself as a liaison person, I guess, between council community board and what they're trying to start up, just for easy communication. If anything does come up that's pertinent to us, but good to see the community getting on board to help itself in the event of air fates. We will need it, so be prepared. Interesting that I remember and still have the booklet that was delivered a few years back, still on the very important papers shelf, and that we all have. The Get Ready, Get Through. But obviously that's long enough ago now that there's a lot of people that had never heard of it or didn't have that. So I think it's a good time to start pushing that message again. And Otago Gets Ready as the big one, like getting that message out to people that we need to be prepared. Now, it's not just about putting some water in the freezer and having some candles and torches. It's about everything else as well and looking after your neighbours. And I think we're in a different space of the community now than we were last time. And making sure people aren't isolated, that we look after each other and get that out there. So I think there's two facets to that community response group. It's not just when it happens, it's that prior. And I think community board, we're out there. That's something that we should be helping to endorse where we can. Really cool to see the Mums for Mums putting on a kids swap sale, I guess it was. It was a no money change hands at the Goldfields Hall, using the hall on holidays. There's a lot of families doing it tough here, whether you realise it or not. Awesome to see a community group that, much like the food pantry, that if you need it, you can go and get it. There's really good system set up there. It's an amazing amount of stuff that was there.
There was a huge amount of stuff there.
It was phenomenal.
With a bag.
Oh yeah, of course. You'll be on that. But what a great way to do it. You know, we'll end up with so much stuff that you don't know what to do with. So it'd be great to see things like that, not just for babies, for kids, for sports, for everything. Brilliant model. Your misfortune was my gain, and I got to put the wreath down at the Anzac service. So thanks, Anna, in Melbourne. Honoured indeed to make that walk and put the wreath down. As with my daughter for Goldfields. That was very cool that the two of us were there together. Great turnout there. I think 600 people thereabouts, and lots of families, all the kids' friends talking about it before and after. Really cool to see that even kids that don't necessarily have a family connection to those that served anymore are still very relevant to them. So that's great. Obviously the farewell and the annual plan drop-in last week. Interesting feedback on Facebook from some. You're right. And the person I spent the longest talking to that evening actually wasn't about the rates per se. It was just about what we're doing in general. And one thing that did come up is they don't feel that they hear enough from council and community board on things we're doing, not necessarily just what we deem to be the messages we need to share in terms of rates rises and whatever, but what we've got in the pipeline and how we're doing. They felt quite disenfranchised moving here, that we don't care about our community. We're doing what we have to do, but we're not necessarily welcoming people and bringing them in, aside from welcoming communities. You know, this guy that I spoke to particularly, he'd come from Rotorua.
Because they were younger ones, weren't they?
Yeah, and saying that 20 to 40, that I'm desperately clawing my way to stay in that group. Young families moving here are finding it really tough, and they don't want to move away, but they don't feel like we're doing a lot to keep them here. So I don't know what kind of community support that looks like, but definitely a big group of people there that are struggling to be here, want to be here, but slipping away as quickly as they come.
Yeah, I think that's where it tends to be pitched in an older group.
Yeah,
So
you know, we're looking at people from overseas, we're looking at people for a little bit older demographic, but I think it's a huge group of people there that are young families working to survive so hard that you don't necessarily have time to do anything else that's social. You know, you're really just trying to bring your family up and pay the rent or the mortgage. But huge, and he had never heard anything about the Gear Estate development or anything like that, and was quite, you know, what are you doing about social housing? What are you doing about affordable housing? All the rest of it. But said we should be. He left really happy that he learned something. So I think we've probably got some scope here to share some messages that we do care, and we're doing what we can, and we'd take that feedback on board from people. And, if there's anything that people can suggest, then let's see what's out there, ideas, not just about how we keep the rates down, but about how we make it a better community. And that's me.
Fairly quiet month, actually. On the 16th of April, I attended a Cromwell and Districts Promotions Group meeting, which is just a standard monthly meeting when they plan events for the whole year. On the 25th of April, Anzac Day, I was privileged to lay the wreath at the Bannockburn service, which was very well attended. Again, a local community event, attracted a lot of people, a very moving service, actually. I also attended the farewell to the Memorial Hall on the 29th. On the 30th of April, I attended a committee meeting from the Cromwell Football Club Incorporated, and noted that they are well underway with their plans to enter 2 teams in the local leagues this year, and also a ladies team as well, which is quite interesting. Something I forgot to note down, and something I did attend with my wife, was a meeting with the group, and I can't remember the name of the group actually, but they're based in Wanaka, and they're campaigning to try and get a local hospital, built in Cromwell, of all places. Spent quite a lot of time actually with them, relating our rather difficult dealings with local health providers, and I'm going to get more involved in that because of our experience in the past. I just mentioned that in passing. Unlike Madam Chair, my events this month weren't bookended by hair appointments. That's me.
Can I have a mover and seconder for minutes reports, please? Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Cheryl. All in favour?
Aye.
That takes us to page 26 and the governance reports. And it says that Gareth is going to update us on freeze and the Memorial Hall. Go to page, that's the governance reports while we're waiting on Gareth to come in. Is there anything on there that people noticed this time needs to be discussed?
Nothing from me.
Nothing from you? It's usually the bit where people go, oh, why is that still there? Or so we go back to page 26 then, and it's in bold. Sorry, page 25, and the recommendation that report be received. Have a mover and seconder for that. Cheryl, thank you. Wally, all in favour? Aye. Waiting for the eye from that. There Harry, that's out. On abstention, folks.
Yeah, I
We were waiting.
I had to unmute.
You're waiting for the eye in the sky.
Yeah.
Righty ho, Gareth, please come and join us. Talk about trees. Not usually you talking about trees, so I do sit by the man who usually talks about trees. Thanks.
Bring the experts into the room. I know trees are green and sometimes different colours, that's about it. Sarah, can you pull up?
Let's see it.
side. Yep, so
Tell us about trees.
it's going to make my colleagues really uncomfortable and I've been over it. So effectively, this is the the potential landscape we've identified throughout the whole development of the hall. There is a key at the bottom over here. I'm going to quickly give you a rundown. All the yellow circles are trees that are going to be removed, which is effectively 22 of them. All the bright green or darker green circles are trees that are going to be replacing them, which is effectively equates to about 23 of those. The 3 dotted circles in red or pinkish are the memorial trees that are going to be removed, and the 3 bright red in the top over there are the ones that they're going to be replacing with that. So there's a varied amount of different trees, and I'll get Gordy to explain a little bit on them. I'll just talk about the ones that I do know about. So cabbage trees, there's about 7 going in total. The core 5, there's 14 going in total, and those are both native trees. The ginkgo and the Prunus cherry. So the ginkgo are the ones that are going to be replacing the memorial trees up in the top over there in the red. And the reason we chose those?
Maybe for some more in California. Long lived.
And then the top line of bright green trees over there is going to be the
Cherry.
the cherry ones, which give a nice avenue of colour. Is that right?
Spring and all.
Yeah, going through there. So we sent an email out last week, and plans have changed, unfortunately. I was talking about, when I told Louise, I was talking about 2 bluebugs coming out in this area over here, sort of starting this week. But the traffic management plan that was submitted got approved, but it's only got the road closure occurring on the 13th of May. So it's been really difficult to get arborists to commit to this job. So we had to change the order of events as of this morning. So I was going inside. So effectively, the old building sits about over here, and there's some trees up against the old building, some conifers, and then there's a bed over here that's got a very small trees and some shrubs. So that has to be removed, or it's getting removed today, just to keep continuation going with the arborists. There's some smaller trees over here, which they're going to move from that area to that area to remove that. In the days following, so this is all going to be done within a 10-day period. And then they're going to start systematically removing trees going around here. And then finally, when the 13th of May occurs, they're going to be taking down those blue gums that are affecting that area over here. That's just because of the fact that safety, there'll be a nice road closure in place, so they'll easily be able to come down. I know it's short notice, but kind of really wanted to get ahead of this one. So the next 10 days, trees are going to come down, and then we don't have to discuss trees coming down anymore. And we're just talking about when the program allows for them to be brought down. That should probably be largely post-construction, because obviously we don't want to disturb any of the new plantings going into that space.
So I think the reason why we've brought this here is we know that removal of trees can be really contentious. So if you are aware, so obviously we need to remove trees because that is the footprint of the building and they can't stay, and also construction of the car park. There isn't anything that we see as a significant specimen that we shouldn't be removing, and Gordy might want to comment on that, but so we don't think there's a big loss in terms of trees, but we know that doesn't always matter to people. So this is to make you aware of what is happening. So if you get any questions, you can answer that.
Well, in terms of the memorial trees that are being removed, and I can see that they need to be removed because otherwise they will be inside the building. How have you, because they're mostly for those lost during wars, aren't they? So has the RSA been fully a part of that process of the replacement of those trees?
Yes, and they're pretty happy with the choice of the replacement. And they'll do a little ceremony when they wanted that to reform the park. It's going to be replaced. Yeah. Well, it's not going to be. It's going to be moved to new. Yeah.
So the trees are not getting cut down; they're getting moved to a new site. They are getting replaced.
Yeah.
Right.
So if we looked at transporting them or shifting them, they're too big, and I think the risk of it's a lot of money to do that. The risk of them being very small, and they actually having been the new plan. And I think although you can't see on that, there's quite a number of small garden beds around the hall and stuff, and there's about 35 different species of low, ground cover to low height shrubs, and of the 35, about 21 of them are natives. So we're doing a mix there and focusing on natives. And we're doing a mix so that there's seasonality, not just green stuff.
Is that partly so that you can have them as rain gardens as well, so that they won't be as much?
So the details not shown at that stage, but just to give some comfort, there are a lot of other plants going around to soften the hall as well, and up where the new memorial site is.
And Gordon, if you want to comment on the species that the memorial trees that are being removed, what are
Yeah, so there's two cedar trees, one with blue cedar and one with a deodar, but they're the big conifers on the road end. There's a beech tree, which is the one, native beech, which is the one with the flower on it, and then there's a Gladitsia, which is actually growing into the cedar tree already up there, and there's a maple which has lost its leaf right in front. Probably see that already. So the maple tree is right at the foot of the chip the other way, the roots might be all over the show. So it was being practical, and also looking at what the new design plan is going to be, so we can get it look like some sort of theme going through it, rather than an old tree and it may or may not survive, and then you have to go down and place it. That's what we're looking at.
Okay.
So, for the construction program, the first of the ring is actually they're going to be constructing this parking lot over here. Part of that work is leaving in July. In that section over here, it's the road closure. So we followed our normal standard process of a TNP application. So it's a 14-day where they advertise and letting one know that the road's going to be closed. But I thought it would be quite good for you guys to see that the contractors have been really thoughtful in this stage. You can go to the second slide, please. I don't know how many slides there are. I think it's 5 or 6. But this is the stage that we're going to be looking at. So because we've been conscious that we've got neighbours here at the Town Country Club, we are fencing areas and leaving this open for the Town Country Club to continue parking there and anyone else, and to be able to access the club over there. So you can see it's all marked out in different routes of where the car park's going to be, where the mesh fencing is going to be taking place, and then also so we drop down to the next. So this is the second for phase 2. They're going to still remain keeping the car park in place, but effectively this comes out of the equation now and is completely ring fenced, so you can safely work in this area. Go on to the next one. And I'm not going to go through all of them. You can see they've always maintained pedestrians for the car park and keeping Town and Country sound. We can go through the rest of the phases, but they will basically just showing the phased approach and how we're getting through this.
It's narrower.
They'll be practicing all the time. They can
And then it's gone and there's a new one.
and then
Yeah, and then so we start realigning in that respect. So, and the contractor's been really, so health and safety is probably one of our primaries, and so good scrimmed fence or meshed fence that goes around and keeps everyone safe. It still allows our neighbours to, continue work. Also, from part of the disruptions when we're felling the trees, we've offered some of the blue gum that's going to be coming down as firewood for the neighbours and for the Town and Country as well, just to showing a little bit of good faith.
Do we have a timescale?
The road closure will be done for about 3 months, and that'll be starting on the 13th of May. If there's anything else I need to discuss with that. Any
What's the specification on the new trees, somewhere between a seedling and established tree, what's going in the middle?
Oh, yeah, well, over 1.5 to 2.5 metres from memory. Yeah, so public trees, yeah.
So that'll happen at the end, right?
Yeah, right, yeah.
With the plaques, will they be, obviously the plaque that's there, say this tree was planted, will there be a second, will that be added to, or will there be a new one that's?
So I haven't gone down to that detail. We were
Yeah.
thinking about just removing that block and replacing it in the new tree, and then maybe putting an amendment in place there as well.
So acknowledging that there was one planted at a certain date, because
Yeah.
that date, you wouldn't want to reserve that history of
Yeah,
when and why it was planted, even though it's moved. It'd be really good to be able to not necessarily keep the old one, but just make sure that we keep that significance of that there
100%.
and then add to it the new story.
And it's good to keep the historical thing. So I think
Yeah.
we would keep the original regardless.
Oh,
And
yeah,
we'd probably do an amendment block
cool.
as well.
I think just that preservation of the story is good.
100%.
It's a rededication.
Okay,
Any other questions? When does the fencing go up?
Fencing's up.
So see those pictures online, see what's going on.
Yeah, so it's,
That's
so fencing,
like,
they've, to date, we have removed the roof line, which has been transported over through to Old Cromwell for storage. They're going to be repairing a whole lot of their roofs and stuff out of their roof line, so that's a really good story. The matai flooring is going to be wetted down, so soaked basically, because then it's easier to remove it. It doesn't split, and we're going to be reusing a lot of that in the new hall. The schist rock is also, they're trying to remove that, not promising anything because, Ministry of Works days, they glued everything down like, it's bomb-proof concrete. But we'll do our best to save as much schist rock as we can and reuse that in the new building. And like I said earlier, so we've advertised all sorts of things on Trade Me, and we've moved quite a bit of stuff. And made a few donations, and yeah, still working through that process.
Thank you.
No worries. Should I just jump straight into the next topic then?
We haven't
All right,
closed and gone into confidential meeting yet, so how about I close this bit?
perfect. And then we'll do that.
So the date of our next scheduled meeting is the 4th of June.
Noted, that's a teacher only day, more primary at least.
And
Yes.
golf.
Yes, that's from
Are you,
Ministry of Education teacher only.
are you tied up with that?
I guess
I was like, you missing this?
it depends what my, depends what I can probably get somebody else to do the afternoon session.
No.
It's not. And then we go to the resolution to exclude the public. Page 37. Public is excluded for the following parts of the proceedings because the subject matter to be considered. Which matter on specific grounds in section 48 of the Local Government Official Information Meetings Act 1986. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Cheryl, all in favour? Yeah, I see this. I see it.
Aye.
Yeah.
The eyebrows came above the glasses on the screen.
Bloody mute button.
Hey, we love it.
You sure you're only under 40 still?
Very much not. Maturity rates now.
People, if you wish to take a quick comfort break while we close up from the public meeting